Mr. Georgia Peach. Let's get in here with Psychic Empath.
Psychic Empath, Secrets of Psychics and Empaths, and a Guide to Developing Abilities such as intuition, clairvoyance, telepathy, aura reading, healing mediumship, and connecting to your spirit guides. Written by Kimberly Moon. Narrated by Sam Slidell. Part 1. Psychic, the ultimate psychic development guide to developing abilities such as intuition, clairvoyance, telepathy, healing, aura reading, mediumship, and connecting to your spirit guides. Introduction. This audiobook will discuss what psychic ability is, the 4 intuitive types, and the tools needed to help you develop your own potential for psychic premonition, healing, and protection from negative forces. It also provides instruction for contacting your spirit guides, also known as guardian angels, guided meditation, mediumship, and telepathy. You will learn how to interpret the psychic and energetic messages you receive from others and from the spirit realm, as well as how to read people's auras, both visually and energetically. The goal is to start you off at the beginning of what is hopefully a long and fruitful journey to discovering and strengthening your psychic abilities by providing useful and detailed ways in which you can practice flexing your psychic muscle. This audiobook further explores different types of psychic readings, complete with examples and guides on how to interpret different signs. Chapter 1. What is psychic power, and how do you discover your intuitive type? Real-life psychic abilities aren't really like what we grew up watching on TV. Psychics don't get a vivid flash into the future out of nowhere, like a little movie playing in their mind's eye, just in time to warn the subject of the vision so that they can change their fate. The ability to sense what the future holds isn't just the stuff of Hollywood. Although it's a lot subtler than how it's portrayed on TV, it's more of a heightened intuition. Now, everyone has intuition, but some people's psychic intuition is stronger than others for a number of different reasons. The most common being that they don't exercise it much, as they usually don't believe in intuition, and as a result, don't listen to it or can't detect it. It could also be because of emotional blockage or trauma that leaves you unable to tap into your psychic channel and focus your energy properly. Therefore, it never gets developed and lies unused and dormant in a person's subconscious. See, your intuition is like a muscle. You have to keep using it and practicing with it for it to develop into true psychic ability. If you've grown up in an environment where you were encouraged to trust your sixth sense, as it were, you are more likely to have stronger psychic ability. But there's good news for those who were brought up by the skeptics of the world, and or if you're a skeptic yourself. Even if you don't have this early exposure and permission to develop your gift, that doesn't disqualify you from achieving psychic power. For those of you in need of a bit of a spiritual workout, let's get started. One thing people who are perhaps more in touch with their intuition often find themselves asking when they have a sense something is amiss is, am I just being anxious and paranoid? Or is my sense of foreboding legitimate? The trick that usually works for getting to the bottom of doubt about your sense and whether it's just anxiety or an actual premonition is, if you feel a sudden flash of foreboding or some sense that something's going to go wrong, and then it disappears. That's your intuition. Heed the following and listen to what it's telling you, what it's warning you of. It could be gravely important. However, it won't stay long, so try your best to interpret it while it's there. You can even write down how it feels. If you get a sense that something is wrong and just can't stop thinking about it all day to the point where you're overthinking it and overanalyzing it to try and figure out what it means and how you can solve it to the point that you're quite worked up and that it just won't go away, it's more likely just anxiety and not a true psychic prediction in this case. It's easy to tell when it's anxiety because the feeling just won't leave you alone. Another sign that it's a psychic premonition would be a type of tingling feeling. Psychic premonitions are also generally accompanied by a feeling of tingling in your brain, usually on top or between your eyes. They don't always come with this feeling, but the chances are if whatever you think you're sensing is accompanied by a tingling in your head, then it's fairly safe to say it's premonition. You may also feel very drained or low in energy after a psychic premonition, although this could be due to anxiety as well, since stressing and agonizing over something can take a mental toll and make you feel exhausted throughout the day and afterward. Hence, this isn't a sure way to tell if it's a premonition, but psychic premonitions do make one feel tired, especially in the case of beginners, as they don't know yet how to use the energy of the universe for help. Using just your own reserve of energy is usually not the best way to go about psychic practice, as it is limited, as opposed to that of the universe, which is unlimited, and can and will be depleted very quickly. If you get a premonition out of nowhere, i.e., receiving a premonition even though you weren't attempting to receive one, it won't leave you a choice to be aided by the universe's energy. But if you are setting out to do a psychic reading, it is important not to use your own limited energy supply and attempt the reading and to receive premonitions unaided. As you begin awakening your psychic powers, you will begin to notice some changes in your life. This is a sure sign that you're on the right track and that your abilities are growing. Keep an eye out for anything you notice about yourself that's out of the ordinary, or if people say you seem different. This is likely because you are vibrating at higher energy now that you've begun to awaken your intuition. Vivid dreams are one certain sign of this. You will probably notice that the more in tune you are with yourself and your abilities, the more vivid your dreams will be. If you are someone who rarely dreams at all, or rarely remembers your dreams, and if you do, it's just vague images and feelings, you will notice an increase in your dreams, and you can recall them more vividly. This is because once your psychic powers have been awakened, your subconscious is more freed up and less blocked, so dreams flow more naturally. You can also receive psychic messages in dreams. See Chapter 10. Being more in tune with your intuition also heightens your energy, consciousness, and connection to the spirit world, which can present itself to you in your dreams now that your mind has been more awakened. Along with vivid dreams and tingling sensations, you may also experience a higher frequency in headaches. If you do, please consult a doctor just to be safe. It could be a sign of your mental capacities straining themselves and becoming tired from the psychic practicing you have been doing. The amount of energy you have to use to connect with and focus on your intuition and the psychic realm is great. And even if you tap into the energy of the universe, it can still be a great strain and a burden for a beginner psychic's brain to bear. However, fear not. The headaches should begin to dissipate as you progress and develop your abilities and become stronger and more focused. Eventually, as you become more experienced and in touch with your intuition, psychic readings can become like second nature. And while they are likely still to be tiring, the headaches should subside unless you are doing a particularly difficult reading or a reading requiring a substantial amount of energy, focus, and time. If they do not cease, again, please talk to your doctor about your symptoms. This is important to remember for all symptoms, aches, and pains that can be associated with psychic readings, etc. It's always better to be safe and get them checked, as psychic ability is only one possible explanation. You may also notice that your other senses become heightened now that you're on the path to psychic awareness. If you've noticed that you no longer need the subtitles turned on when you're watching a movie, your palette has changed slightly, your eyes seem sharper than usual, or colors become more vivid, you're more sensitive to certain fabrics, and you can pick up and pinpoint scents with much more ease. This can be attributed to your increased psychic potential. After all, you're heightening your sixth sense. It's only natural that the others increase in ability as well. Now, if you get frustrated because you still need your glasses, even though your psychic abilities are increasing, just remember that becoming a psychic isn't a cure to anything. It's not going to suddenly allow you to see with 20/20 vision or give you a refined palate. It may simply elevate your senses slightly. That's all. It's just a sign of increased power. The more your psychic powers start to show themselves, the higher your vibration becomes. The higher your vibration and energy become, the less time you will want to spend around negative people or doing negative things. Don't be surprised if, while on your psychic journey, your eyes are open to the negativity and negative habits of some of the people in your life. This is a completely normal part of the psychic journey, and you may end up feeling the need to remove certain people from your life or cease doing certain negative activities that you used to partake in. Unnecessary drama, rudeness, gossip, harmful behavior, etc., are all examples of things which you will begin to have the strong urge to avoid or cease. This is not to say you can't indulge in your favorite reality TV show from time to time, or cut a friend out of your life because they are struggling with an addiction, or because they are having a rough day and get angry at you, or are negative in the sense that they are sad and maybe struggle with depression. However, people who are always constantly negative and want to drag others down with them are no one you want to be around. If it feels right for you and like it will ultimately bring you happiness and empower you on your journey, then it's best that you remove these people as gently as possible without being rude or mean about it. Be polite and sensitive if you believe they are owed that, or stop doing these things which bring negativity into your life. Negativity is extremely draining to non psychics, so you can imagine what it does to someone who is likely going to be quite vulnerable to the emotions, thoughts, and energy of others. This is why it is best for psychics to avoid negativity. An increase or development of psychometry is also common for new psychics. Psychometry is when you can sense the energy or history related to an object just by touching it. Eventually, you may even have premonitions associated with the object. But while you're still a beginner, you may just notice that you can sense the energy of a certain object, often not on purpose. This is quite common in antique stores. Brushing against an old silver mirror, locket, item of jewelry, or any sort of old heirloom may bring you an odd sense of longing, seemingly for no reason. But this may be due to the history of the item or the item's owner. Perhaps the item was given to them by the love of their life, who then died or left them, or who maybe they were forbidden to see. This would explain the feeling of longing associated with the object. It usually occurs with older objects or objects which have been through a lot and whose current or previous owners have been through a lot. It can be articles of clothing, jewelry, art, furniture. Even when entering a house, many psychics can feel the energy related to it and its history and old owners. If you are moving out soon and go to look at an open house to get a sense of whether the house is right for you, also take into account the energy of the place. Run your hands over the walls, counters, and furniture in every room. This should give you a good indication of whether there is an excess of negative energy or not, or whether you or whomever you're moving with and the house will be a good energetic fit. You'll often hear of people's hair standing on end and having a sense of evil or negative energy when entering a house, and then later finding out a murder or some other horrific event took place there at some point. This is because they are picking up the energy of the space through psychometry. People with more developed intuition and psychic abilities are more prone to picking up energy. So if you begin sensing things like this when you touch them, it's a good sign that you're on the right track. 4 types of psychic intuition. Now that we're discussing what your psychic intuition feels like and some signs that your powers are developing, let's take a look at the different types of psychic intuition and define them. Clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, You may not have heard these terms before, so here is a brief description of each. Clairaudience is when it sounds like someone is speaking directly in your mind, not in the same way as people with certain mental illnesses. This is more of a short answer to a question or advice, and it shouldn't sound, feel harsh or discordant. The word clair means clear, and audience is from audir, meaning to hear. So you are physically hearing these messages, though usually it is within the mind. It can sound similar to when you act out a conversation in your head, or similar to how you hear people talking in dreams. These sounds and messages can come from your spirit guides, or from the spirit of someone in your life who has died. If you've ever seen someone go to a psychic medium, chapter 9, on TV, or perhaps you accompanied someone once to try and contact a dead loved one, and the medium will ask them the meaning of a certain phrase or sound, they are likely receiving these through clairaudience. Clairvoyance is when you see images in your mind's eye that hold psychic significance. Voyance meaning vision, so clear vision. The next time an image springs into your mind, seemingly out of the blue, try to analyze it. It may have a symbolic or very literal meaning about something coming up in your life, or it may explain something you've been thinking or worrying about. Clairvoyance won't be a very specific flash into the future where you can see exactly an event that will happen as a movie in your mind, like how they show it on TV shows. It will be a subtle image or vision in your mind's eye. You may have had clairvoyant messages in the past without realizing it. Chapter 6, Guided Meditation. As mentioned in the previous chapters, meditation is an invaluable tool for preparing yourself to use or flex your psychic abilities, and to help when practicing and developing your gift. What it does is clear the mind and relax the body, putting you in a state of calm that makes it easier to focus on your spiritual abilities and the task you've set out for yourself. You can meditate even if you don't plan on using your power or practicing. It can also just be an everyday routine or habit that clears the mind of worries and improves your quality of life. Whatever the reason, let's take a look at some of the most effective methods of meditation and its uses in the next few paragraphs, and then we will get into the topic of guided meditation. Meditation is a way to calm and clear your mind from distraction, clutter, and chatter. It has been used for thousands of years, but now more than ever, it is important. As our attention spans are shorter and we are bombarded by information, activity, light, and color,
without noticing this point. Thus, teachers often still believe and still relay to their students the flat earth legend. Even the death of Columbus has been changed to make a better story. Having Columbus come to a tragic end, sick, poor, and ignorant of his great accomplishment, adds melodramatic interest. Columbus's discoveries were not immediately appreciated by the Spanish government, according to the American Adventure. He died in neglect in 1506. In fact, Spain immediately appreciated Columbus's discoveries, which is why they immediately outfitted him for a much larger second voyage. In 1499, Columbus made a major gold strike on Haiti. He and his successors then forced hundreds of thousands of Indians to mine the gold for them. Money from the Americas continued to flow into Columbus and Spain. Perhaps not what he felt he deserved, but enough to keep all wolves far from his door. Columbus died well off and left his heirs well endowed, even with the title Admiral of the Ocean Sea, now carried by his 18th generation descendant. Moreover, Columbus's own journal shows clearly that he knew he had reached a new continent. The errors textbooks make about Columbus don't result simply from sloppy scholarship. Textbooks want to magnify Columbus as a great hero, a man of vision, energy, resourcefulness, and courage, in the words of the American pageant. Some of the details the textbook authors pile on are harmless, I suppose, such as the fabrications about Isabella's sending a messenger galloping after Columbus